I had the magic touch.
We'll let them fiddle with that. Tailypo is an Appalachian folktale. It comes from the deep woods of the Blue Ridge Mountains and was told over and over in oral traditions. And it has become a popular children's tale. You'll find several versions, and it becomes scarier and scarier with the retelling. And it was interesting when I was doing some research on this book. I checked through, it's in Wikipedia, it's in a number of sources, but there are a lot of reviews, for example, in Amazon.com. And one of the funniest ones was about the evil, shrew school librarian who scared the hell out of a person when he was in 5th grade and he still remembers it. So we'll see if we can do the same with you. And we'll let you do the volume control on the bolts of lightning and rolls of thunder here. The pictures are awfully small to get to the back, so I'm just going to read to you and we'll see how we do with this. A long time ago, an old man lived in the deep, big woods. His cabin had only one room, and that room was his parlor, his bedroom, his dining room, and his kitchen. The old man had 3 dogs. One was called Uno, one was called Ino, and one was called Comtico Calico. One day, the man decided to go hunting to catch something for his supper. Here, 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 he shouted to his dogs, and they came bounding off the porch, eager for a chase. After many hours of hunting, the wind began to blow hard from the valley. It'll be dark soon, the old man said, and all we've caught is a skinny rabbit. He headed home, afraid they might go to bed hungry that night. The old man cooked and ate the rabbit and gave the bones to the dogs, and then he leaned back in his chair and listened to the storm. The wind whistled around that old cabin. Just as the old man was about to doze off, a most curious creature crept through a crack between the logs in the wall. It had a big, long, furry tail. As soon as the old man saw the varmint, he reached for his hatchet and with one lick he cut that tail off. Before the man could raise his hatchet a second time, though, the creature slipped out through that crack and ran away. Now that old man, he was still hungry, so he took that big, long tail and he cooked it and he ate it. After that, he stuffed up that crack in the wall and he went to bed. His stomach was full and he felt so warm and snug that before he knew it, he was asleep. The old man hadn't been asleep very long. When he woke up, something was climbing up the side of his cabin. It sounded like a cat. Scratch, scratch, scratch. Who's that? He lay still and listened, and after a while he heard a voice say, "Tailypo, Tailypo. All I want is my Tailypo." The scratching went on, and the old man began to shiver and shake. Then he remembered his dogs, and he went to the door and called, "Here, here, here." And the dogs came piling out from under the porch, and with their noses to the ground, they chased that thing deep into the woods. The old man pulled up his covers tightly around him, and he went back to sleep. But in the middle of the night, he woke up again, and now he heard something trying to get right above the cabin door. "Who's that? And what do you want at this time of the night when all good folks should be in bed?" He listened, and he could hear it going, scratch, scratch, scratch. And then he heard that voice say, "Tailypo, Tailypo. I'm coming to get my Tailypo." The old man was so scared he couldn't stand up, so he called his dogs from his bed. "Uno, Ino, go, Calico. Here, here, here. And those dogs came bursting around the corner of the cabin. They caught up with that wild thing at the gate and tore the whole fence down trying to get at it. Then they chased it into the swamp. At last, all was quiet again, and with a weary sigh, the old man went back to sleep. Toward morning, something down in the swamp woke that old man up. First he thought it was the wind blowing louder than usual. But when he listened again, he heard that voice crying, "You know and I know, all I want is my Tailypo." The old man called his dogs again, "Here, here, here! Uno, Ino, Cupco, Calico." This time the dogs didn't come. The old man ran outside into the storm and called again, "Here, dogs! Here, here, here!" But there was no trace of them. There was just the sound of the wind blowing around the torn down fence. That thing had led the dogs way off into the swamp and lost them. Sadly, the man went back into his cabin and shut and barred the door. Just before daylight, the man opened his eyes, the way people do when they feel there's something else in the room. Something was stirring among the pots and pans. Then something that sounded just like a cat began climbing up the covers at the foot of the bed. The man listened and he heard it. Scratch, scratch, scratch. He looked over the foot of his bed and he saw 2 pointed ears. And he saw 2 big, round, fiery eyes staring at him. The man wanted to call for help, but he was too scared. That thing kept creeping up until it was right next to the old man. Then it said in a low voice, "You know, and I know that I'm here to get my Tailypo." The man sat up and pulled the covers up over his head, and all at once he got his voice and he said, "I haven't got your Tailypo." That thing said, "Yes, you have. Yes, you have." And it jumped on top of that man and scratched everything to pieces. Now, there's nothing left of that old man's cabin deep in the big woods, except that chimney. But folks who live in the valley say that when the thunder rolls and the wind blows, you can hear a voice say, "Tailypo, Tailypo. Now I've got my Tailypo." Thank you.
That was really